I'd like to thank you for tuning in on another Friday night to the one and only GQ podcast. And as usual, I'm with the usual suspects on my Q La Familia. This is a very serious show. So without further ado, we're going to get right into the introductions. I'm going to start with Bub.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome if it's your first time with us. Hope you enjoy the show. If it's not, welcome back. And I still hope you enjoy the show.
Eddie.
Hey, what's going on with y'all, man? Just want to say that I love all y'all, man. You know me.
PJ. The real PJ.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you see me in the streets, please say the real.
We're going to go to Steve.
My bad. I'm trying to eat real quick. What up, though?
All the way from ATL, Mr. Suave himself, Shaw.
What's up, y'all? It's going to be a challenging conversation. We're going to try to keep it unapologetic and authentic.
So many other places you could be tonight. We want to thank y'all for tuning in with us. We're going to get right into it. You are now rocking with the Q. Let's go.
Hold on. Somebody's got feedback.
Technical difficulties. I think we cleared that. I don't hear it anymore. We good to go. Let's roll.
All right, let's go.
All right, so tonight we're going to talk about police brutality and everything that encompasses. It's almost every week, definitely every month, we're hearing about another shooting involving police officers and a person of color, usually a black person. So right now, the first question I want to pose to you guys is because we have so many like the Black Lives Matter movement and all the protests, do you think any of these play any part in the psyche of police and also civilians, and has everybody kind of on pins and needles in the way that they react towards police at this point? Bugs, what you think?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes and no. To those who it's been definitely brought to the attention, of the public since the Black Lives Movement has started. More things have been brought out to the light, brought to the attention of the public, but these are things that have been going on. But also, you always going to have some on the other side that really don't care. I don't believe they're going to change their mindset because
So I'm gonna just pick up where you left off, man. Like where he was going is where I would go with it. I don't think it really puts them on pins and needles because I just think that they just don't care. The ones that are into, the type of stuff that they're into as far as going against us or, the whole, I don't know the right word I want to put on it right now. I don't want to say the wrong word, but pardon me. I just think that it doesn't put it like, why would it put it on pins and needles if most of them feel like they can do what they want to do? And there's laws that help them get off. I mean, it's rare that a cop is even going to get charged with half the shit. And even if they do, it's like they basically get off with a slap on the wrist for just taking their lives.
Right. But if you're waking up every day and you know that the civilians are looking at you in a certain light, they're looking at you to be that aggressor, and you may not necessarily be that way. It kind of has you at a heightened sense of, okay, I have to watch my back. I don't know who's against me at this point.
Okay, so
you don't think that plays a role in the way that they're able to do their jobs?
Okay, so let's say this, because I'm not going to say all cops are like that, because I don't think that all cops is like that, because I've had good and bad experiences with police officers. But so maybe the quote unquote good ones, the ones that are actually trying to do their job, maybe they may feel like it's making it harder for them to do their job, but still, they should check their folks that's doing the bullshit. Like, hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to hold them accountable, because if you hold your own accountable, then there's no reason for you to be on pins and needles. You know what I'm saying? Because if everyone's doing their fucking job, what's the problem?
So, I mean, I think there's a flip side to it, though, as well. I mean, we're at a point where, as Black people in general, we're tired and like we're fed up. So it's like upon arrival, we're like, yo, what do you want? What? And it's like our aggression is now starting where they're pulling up, but in the same breath, it's like they're pulling up like, here we go with this shit. So the moment they come to the car, it's like we got phones in the window, You got folks cussing cops out upon arrival. So it's like the pins and needles are there. Cops know flat out, like, right now is not a good time to be a cop. Period. Like, there's no respect line for police enforcement at this moment. So it's like you're going into this job on a daily basis, knowing that that's going to be the situation. But in the same breath, you're trained to deal with the fact that you're probably not going to be liked. And that's something that you got to check before you leave the station in the morning. So it's, as I say, I think it's a flip side to it. I think both sides have some responsibility. Cops have more responsibilities than civilians because you're law enforcement. So you're there to do your job. Cool. If people don't like you, tough shit. Like, there's people who used to come to my hotels that didn't like the hotel. You might cuss me out when you get there. I can't cuss you back out. So it's just, you gotta take the weight with the job, and that's a part of you being a cop, and you just gotta deal with it.
So you think part of being a cop is taking disrespect from civilians?
Yes.
Well, let me say this. Can I jump in here? So the thing is that this is nothing new. People have been protesting, and as long as the protests are peaceful, like it's supposed to be, it's not even supposed to be anything that should bother a cop. Like, that's the defense that Chauvin used in the George Floyd case, that he's being distracted. But you're trained. This is your position. This is your job. You know what I mean? So it shouldn't be anything that calls for you as a person who is trained to handle these situations to be able to not deal with the public. That's your job. And if people are just protesting because this has been going on for not just now, the reason that is having this great microscope right now is because, one, we have the technology, and two, we had the pandemic. So with people sitting around dormant during the pandemic, it allowed for people to be like, we can kind of do something to get out, and we can use our peaceful protests and push this narrative a little bit. So that's part of why we were able to get this to even go in that direction. But no, it's not going to be, it doesn't put them on pins and needles because they already felt that way. That's why this has been going all this time.
But what
I think
about the cops though?
I think the feelings there overall, depending on like the cops you're dealing with, but like, I mean, we all got like people that we know that are cops that'll tell you shit ain't easy. Like, you got folks cussing you out upon arrival. Like, it's just right now, again, with technology and with having all this downtime, we've become more aggressive with police. So it's like, well, we may have always had a little bit of like kickback and whatever, what have you. It's just, you look at cops, if they stop you, like, you're stopping me for some racial shit. And then it's like, it escalates from there to whatever it goes to. So if the cop can de-escalate the situation, they may. If they're not a de-escalating cop, then they probably won't. It's probably going to escalate from there. So it's like, it's little stuff. And you got people that, play the law. Like, I know this, I know that. I don't got to give you this. I don't got to tell you that. Like, what the fuck you want? It's just, it escalates situations. So I don't think necessarily just Black Lives Matter puts cops on pins and needles, but I think that the agitation that may come with it might.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like, me personally, like, so now if I get pulled over, I do tend to get a little agitated, especially if I know I didn't do anything wrong. So I am wondering, why did you pull me over? Did you look at my car and see this black man driving this car and decide I'm going to pull him over? And maybe that's wrong for me for assuming that, but is it really wrong for me for assuming that? Because it happens, right? Like, like, you do actually get pulled over for being black. You know what I mean? And again, I don't want to say all cops do that. I don't want to put this on every single cop in this country, but I just feel like I want to go off. I don't want to go off another subject because I'll wait. What I have to say can wait for the next.
I think it's irresponsible for a civilian to immediately become aggressive and think that they're being pulled over because they're black.
Well, agitated and aggressive is two different things.
Hold up. Why would you think, like, if you know that you didn't necessarily do anything wrong?
You don't know that.
Check this out, PJ. Now, we do have a history of cops pulling people over for wrong reasons. So then we do also know that there has been, you know what I mean? And it hasn't gone anywhere. It just hides in different ways of racial tension between blacks and police officers. for whatever reason, right? Without going into, so if you've had, like with anything, if you've had experiences like this, it's going to cause you to have some trepidation before, you even have this interaction with this cop, especially if it's your car. You know what I mean? Like you weren't speeding, you might just be in the area or whatever.
Right,
Like,
but everyone hasn't necessarily had a bad experience, right? But
right.
they still feel like they should be aggressive when a cop approaches them. I'm gonna give you an example of being pulled over with you not doing anything, and it's not because you're black. I've been pulled over multiple times for having either a tail light or a brake light or something out. I wasn't doing anything wrong, and my first thing, why are they pulling me over? So if I don't know that my light is out, because if I did know it was out, I would have fixed it before I started driving. If I don't know my light is out and I get pulled over and I'm immediately aggressive, I'm in the wrong because all they're doing is telling me your light's out.
But I don't think everyone's automatically aggressive, though. I think it's more of an agitation factor. It doesn't mean that
what are you agitated for when you don't even know why you pulled over?
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
When you see the lights, right? Like the first, like that shows you how much of a disconnect it is from our public servants and how they're supposed to be when you just see the lights that you get agitated. Like you said, you should be able to be comfortable, like you're saying. Like there was an incident where me and Steve literally were driving down, what street was that, Steve? Derry Street. I told the cops, but he pulled me over. I said, yo, you're profiling me. He started laughing and said, you know what? Never mind. And let us go. You know why? But if I did something wrong, PJ, he would have told me I did something wrong, regardless of what I'm saying, right?
Well,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
It's like if you truly did something wrong, yeah, he wouldn't have let it go. No,
right.
I can't say that because it might be a situation where you probably did something and it was minor as hell, and he's just like, you know what, this ain't worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
This ain't worth it. Just let him go.
Steve was in the car. Let him
No, I'm just saying. That could be.
Steve was there.
Nah, all like the cop got behind us. Bub pulled over, let the cop pass us. Then the cop pulled back over, and when Bub passed him, he turned.
That's kind of suspect, cuz
right.
Like I'm saying for you to pull over, let him go past you, and then pull back out again.
No,
that's kind of suspect.
No.
He was just riding.
We were driving regular, and I let him go by. So why would he stop and let me go by him again to get behind me?
Because he's trying to figure out why to pull him over. He should have pulled him over when he pulled over. He should just pull over behind him.
But again, I think that's where our mindset comes in at, because now that you pull over and let this cop go and then you pull back out again, the cop's probably thinking, why did he just pull over? So let me get back behind him.
But is it a crime for somebody to pull over?
I would
it's not wrong. It becomes suspect. It's like, why are you trying?
Because Shad, I can pull over at any point for any reason. I could be pulling over because I got to take a piss. I could be pulling over because maybe Steve's about to throw up or something. You know what I mean? So for him, right. So then he passes me, and nobody's going to get directly behind the cop. So he's passing me for a little bit. I get behind him. He literally pulls over again, pulls me over and says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Nope. Other than that, you're racial profiling me. He started laughing and said, "You know what? I'm gonna let you go."
That's it. All right, so I'm playing devil's advocate. To put yourself in the cop's position is you get behind somebody. You get behind them, they pull over. You keep going. You look in your tail light, they pull back out and come back out again. So it's like, why'd you pull over? So now you slow down, you let him pull back in front of you, and now he pulls you over. He comes to your window, you're like, you're racial profiling me. And it's like, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even gonna do this with you.
All right, so
it's we do things because, again, we have that history with cops that we just don't want to be around them when we're in cars. So we do things in those situations that may come off suspect around them. That's what I'm saying. But it's like when we get around them and we get in those situations, we do things that then make us suspect. So it's like if we kept driving like, I know I didn't do nothing, so I don't care if he's behind me or not. That's different. But if you start making changes in your pattern because they're now there, that makes them on guard for why you're changing the patterns.
So you think I escalated the situation? Going on to the next topic of what we're discussing.
If anything, I feel like the cop de-escalated the situation.
Yeah. So you think
the cop caused the situation?
Right.
By
But
driving.
here's
So he
the thing.
escalated it, then
Pulling him over.
de-escalated it, I guess.
But here's the thing. Let's not sit here and act like we know all of the laws or all the things that the cops are allowed to do.
Check this
You know
out.
what I mean?
Here's
No,
my thing.
Wait.
Here's
You don't know? Was that an illegal? Was it illegal that what he did by pulling you over?
Yeah.
How do you know?
There's illegal stops and stuff, man. Like, you know what I
There
mean? But
are,
hold
but
up.
what he
But
did,
hold
was
up.
that
But hold
illegal?
up. Yeah, because technically, if I still did something wrong, like check this out. And just common sense. If you let somebody know that he did something wrong, even if you're flabbergasted, you would still just acknowledge that shit. You know what I mean? Like he didn't acknowledge anything about me and Steve doing anything. We had our seatbelts on, we were going the speed limit, and we was just cooling. You know what I mean? And like I said, it was like 3:00 in the morning. You know, and like I said, if it was still an issue, because I've had a cop where I've said something to, and he disregarded what I said and still let me know this was that.
But that's
It was
that's
just-
somebody who's willing to go that far. It's like if it's him saying you're doing suspect shit, but when I get up to the window, you're like, you're racial profiling me. And he's like, I don't got time for this racial profile shit. Just go ahead and go. It's different. It's just like, I don't got time for it. And some cops really don't want to be involved with anything that's going to escalate from that racial situation, because you know, if that comment's made in the beginning, it's going to escalate. There's no de-escalation from the person that's being pulled over at that point.
Or guilt can make you tilt, because if somebody's on to you and we're completely coherent, so there's nothing you can really do.
But you know what? In all actuality, it's like he's not going to tell you if you were right. By him
Exactly.
leaving and laughing is okay. Maybe you're right, so I'm gonna go ahead. But I'm not going to tell you you're right so that you can hold me in contempt.
Thank you.
That can
It doesn't
Now-
be the
matter.
situ-
It
that
doesn't
could be the
matter if
situation
Bob-
as well.
Now-
It doesn't matter if you
Now-
were right or not. He de-escalated the situation, and it
Now
didn't
that
go
he
any
did
further.
do, he did because he let it go. Okay, it didn't
Right,
go any
and-
further.
Hold on.
But it's hard to know
If I start some shit and then be
Right.
like, all right, let's squash it, I didn't de-escalate it. Like, you can't start something and then get credit for de-escalating it because you decided, you know what, I'm not gonna go any
Yeah,
further.
but you're only
But
saying
actually,
you started something
you
based
can
on your
though.
point of view.
Actually,
No.
you can. That's like if I come up to you and I got intentions on punching you because of something I heard, and I
Yes.
said you Steve, you
Yes.
tell me you're Steve, and it's a bunch of people, and I see cops in the corner, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Never mind. I'm going about my business.
You didn't
I'm letting the
de-escalate.
situation.
No,
I left the
I got a-
situation. There is
I got
no
a
more
better
situation.
That's not
situation for you.
de-escalation, yo.
It's
Nah,
done.
I got a better situation for you. I roll
But-
up on you with all intention of punching you in your motherfucking mouth because
Come
of
on.
whatever I heard. And then I realized after we swap a couple words and I realized that I was wrong. Oh shit, I'm falsely accusing cuz. Oh, my fault, cuz. Like, my bad. Like, you know what? You right. I fucked up. That's is that me de-escalating it?
De-escalating.
Oh,
Yes, it
man,
is.
you don't get credit for landing on your feet after you pop fly, yo.
I don't want credit. I'm just saying, is
No.
that de-escalated? I escalated the situation, and then when I realized I was wrong, I de-escalated the situation, and I
But-
calmed myself down.
So we can hit this and then like move on.
Okay.
Are we saying that the cop escalated by pulling Bub over?
Yes.
Right.
I don't believe
His-
that at all. Nope.
So
I
so
wouldn't
wait,
call that
so
escalation.
All right,
Hold on.
but
So-
But he
how
also
did he
de-escalated it though.
But he probably made Cuz nervous
What
in the
was
first
it
place
de-escalate if there was
him.
nothing escalated?
But
Hold on,
listen,
let's
this is
see-
the thing.
let's
By
see.
him pulling you over caused pressure. Now, de-escalation is the reduction of intensity or friction or force, however you want to look at it.
And who caused the intensity?
The cop did, but he
The cop.
also
No, he didn't.
he-
No, he didn't.
hold
Well,
up.
How
it's-
did
it's-
he,
it's-
cuz?
So
Hold up,
the comment-
listen. Let me finish.
Hold on, no.
So,
Let PJ
Steve
explain how he
and
did it
Bub-
because
Steve
he
and
made
Bub-
Bub uncomfortable, cuz. That's
Steve-
why.
Yo,
Yeah.
he
That's
made Bub,
why
he made, but that's I think that goes
why.
back to just the mentality of black people with cops. He made Bub uncomfortable
Nah.
just for the fact of being in the car and being a cop and pulling behind him.
it's not
Well-
even that. Let me explain to y'all my mindset, because we're in the car. Me and Steve were in the car, and this is literally a conversation. So we're passing 29th Street. The cop was sitting there when we drove past. Then he put his lights on, you know, so like they do, so they can go through and turn on the Derry Street where we're driving. So what happens is he's just following me. All right, so we're gonna go into detail real quick. He's just following me. So what I decide to do is pull over, let him continue to drive. What he does is he sees that I'm driving. I'm probably at least 5 houses behind where he's at. He pulls over. And then when I turn up to go up towards Union Deposit, forget the street, he starts following us again. You know what I mean? So it was all intentional because, like I said, he was sitting at the light and it changed when we came through the light. But he literally followed us because you're not going to sit here and tell me, and then Steve was there as well, that we escalated anything. I wasn't uncomfortable, but I knew that what he was doing, though. I was just aware.
No,
and so
but
was Steve.
And I think that's where we mess up. Because him saying, you know, I pulled you over, a no would have been an answer. No, I don't. What happened?
Or
Like,
if he asks you if you know, and you know the reason is because he's profiling, and you say that
that's an escalation.
But
That's
you don't know that. You're
That's a
assuming.
legit
Okay.
answer.
You are assuming.
Do you know?
Then why did you let me go?
And if I say because you're profiling, even if I'm wrong, you can say no. That's not why I pulled you over. I pulled you over because of X. But instead, he said, "Ha ha, profiling." Go ahead.
See,
You know what? I'm just gonna let you
wrong.
go, and that's exactly what he said.
He was wrong.
And
he knew he was
that's
wrong.
but I mean, it's okay. Because we don't know the mindset. And him pulling out behind you more than likely was racial profiling. And had you just kept driving, he would have just kept driving behind you because all they can do is run your tag, see if it's good, and then go on about their business. So
You
it's
think
like
that he didn't run my tag shot.
I'm sure he probably did.
He was, all right.
I'm sure when he was behind you, he did. No, I'm sure when he was behind you, he ran your tag. But it's the fact of if you're behind me and now I swerve out to pull over so you can get from behind me and get in front of me, and then once you're in front of me,
I didn't swerve.
Understand? I'm not just you pull it over. You pull it over. The cop goes around you. You pull back out and you start driving again. The cop pulls over because now that's a suspect behavior. It's
No,
like
I
why
get
would
that
you?
part of it?
That's what I'm saying.
I
So
get-
why would you pull over?
Why wouldn't I? Because I'm allowed to
Why?
pull over. See,
But
that's
for
the problem. Where that's where we make the mistakes too. If you don't know your rights and you don't know how to, like, yo, I can
But
pull over.
that-
Listen,
you
if a person
absolutely
pulls
can.
over- right. If a person's drunk and intoxicated and you still pull over and they find you still under the influence, you can still get arrested for the DUI. But I can
Yes.
pull over sober. So you telling me I can't? I didn't swerve. Like
No,
I said, Steve's in the.
But
No,
you know what?
I'm saying
Go ahead.
I'm saying by doing that could cause a suspect behavior for him. Regardless of why you did it, it just looks suspect from him. If you did it and I wasn't a cop and like I'm driving behind you and you pull over and I go around and you pull behind me, I'm now trying to figure out why the fuck did he just pull over and get behind me? Because I don't know what you're. I have.
Yo, people have, and like, I'm not worried about some regular car goes behind me and does some other shit because they may have dropped something in the car. What's the name? But I know we've been on this for a minute, so I know it's time to move
but
on.
look, listen. This goes right into what our roles are as civilians when we are detained or pulled over or questioned by police officers. What role should we be playing?
Wait, ask that again. I'm sorry, Coach.
What role do us as civilians do we play when we're pulled over by cops or we're detained or we're questioned?
Here's the
The
thing.
hope would be the role of a civilized civilian.
Yeah, and honestly, it really with this, it does depend on a couple different scenarios because let's be real. Like if I was a white man and I got a little belligerent and just started, talking all crazy to the cops, it's less than likely that he's going to act accordingly because me being black, I know that I don't want to say most, and some cops that are looking for that type of. Actually, it probably is most. I pump fear in these guys' heart, like because if he gets the reaching, then I'm gonna get the reaching, and I could just be reaching for a license. See, okay, let me talk you through what I do when I get pulled over. Right, so I get pulled over for whatever the hell the reason is. And then I'm agitated. I just am like, why the fuck are you pulling me over? Because I know whether or not I did something illegal. I know if I was speeding. I know if I was swerving. I know whatever. I know whatever I did. And it's like, and you're right. It could have been a tail light. And guess what? If he pulls me over and says, your tail light's out, oh, thank you, officer. I'm going to be so respectful because he was right for pulling me over.
Yeah, but you're saying you're going to be agitated to begin with.
Yes, I am. I am going to be agitated because why the fuck are you pulling me over right now when, especially, you have to understand, this is from experience. I've rode by cops that bust U-turns and pulled me over. You see what I'm saying? So it's natural for me to be agitated. Is it not?
It is.
But
that's
so
but again,
moving forward. Hold on, moving forward. So now the cop pulls me over and I'm sitting there like this. And then I realize, like, Eddie, put your hands on the fucking steering wheel. You don't want to make no fidgety moves and shit like that. So here's me, hands on the fucking steering wheel. Officer comes to the window. And however he comes up, like depending on how he or she approaches me, like dictates like whether or not I'm I'm comfortable or uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because like obviously the cops don't come to the car, hand on his hip. You know, I get why you're doing all of that. And it's like, yo, license registration. And I'm gonna say to him, hey, it's in the glove box or it's in the middle compartment. I'm reaching over to grab it. Here's my hand right here, and I'm lifted up, and I slowly grab the joint, and then maybe the cop will have a little joke to let me know, no, it's cool. I've had that before. Oh, cool. Then we share a little laugh, and now I'm at ease, but I still got to recognize what it is. Other cops is more stiff, light in your fucking face, and I could barely even see you. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, it just depends on the scenario, man. And I'm allowed to be agitated. Like, I truly am, because previous officers have made me that way. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you got pulled over for no reason, PJ? Like just for no reason. Like he didn't pull you over, he just pulled you over because he's seen you, PJ, black guy, nice car.
Nope. Every time I got pulled over, it was a legit reason.
Well,
there's no reason for you to be agitated then.
I mean, that's your experience. But of course, civilians have some role to play in circumstances. But to negate the fact that prior experiences can have you feeling some type of way is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like you can't sit there and act as if we don't come from history. You know what I'm saying? Of these types of things. So all right, you've always got legitimately pulled over. That's good.
And you know, hold on, before you continue on. And every time I got pulled over, I didn't know what I did wrong. Right? But then it's pointed out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. You know what I mean?
Okay,
so I'm not blatantly just out there driving recklessly. You know what I mean? But I may do something up.
But I'm like Eddie in a sense, like the times where I got pulled over, if I know I'm speeding, Shah's been in the car with me. You know what I mean? I got pulled over speeding, and I got off for whatever circumstances, but I knew I was speeding. I didn't even say anything about that. You know what I'm saying? It's the times where you know, like you said, outside of a taillight or something you can't see with some damage to your car, you can question that. You know what I mean? But if I know I'm speeding or anything, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't have no reason to really, you know what I mean? Like, really be at it. But if there's something that you don't really know, come on, man. Like, but you're allowed to have that.
So, for instance, when I lived in Philly, I probably got pulled over monthly for no reason. I had a red car. It was small. It was a sports car. It was fast. Did I speed? Absolutely. Was I speeding when I was getting pulled over? Absolutely not. I got pulled over in a parking space. Like I was in a parking space, pulled out, the cop pulled me over. And I was like, he said, how's it going? I was like, I'm good. What's up? He's like, no, I just wanted to make sure everything was cool. What the fuck does that mean? But I'm not going to say that to him. I was just like, okay, cool. Looked at his badge, looked at his name. He left. I wrote it down. Fortunately for me at that time, like I had a connection with internal affairs. Every cop that pulled me over for nothing, I just reported them. But in the same breath, when you're pulling me over, I'm not gonna be like, yo, what the fuck? Because at that point, now you're looking for something. So like,
I pause you in your story. I agree with not getting belligerent like that because it can escalate to something that can end up meaning your life is being taken. And I won't do that. But I still may be a little bit agitated in my conversation as it goes on if you're still showing me like, because you still haven't told me why I got pulled over. Or you still haven't, like you're really just sitting here playing with me right now. That has happened. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, that's happening. And I think for me, my thing has always been never make it be your fault. True. So if I can not involve myself in whatever bullshit you got going on, I'm not going to. So if that means I'm de-escalating situations from you, I'm de-escalating it. Like license registration, my shit is on my visor. License registration, insurance card, all that shit sitting right there. I'm not reaching to a glove box. I know better.
I feel you.
So it's like everything's right here. Here you go. I'll give you the whole binder. Take everything you need out of it. Just put it back.
Philadelphia cops have a bad history with that too.
It's a horrible history.
Exactly. So again, to approach that, when we know their history, you know what I'm saying? Like it also plays an element into how you approached it. Am I right?
No, I approach all cops like that though. Like I don't argue with them. And I think because my mom always said, like, if you get pulled over, all you need to do is make it home. I'll deal with it from there. I kept that mentality. I don't go back and fuss and fight and argue and go back and forth. It's no point. I had a black cop pull me over with like a group of track runners. He's like, where the fuck y'all going? I was like, yo, I just picked them up from a track meet. And then Mike said something. He was like, you shut the hell up. I was like, wow. Okay. Still to this day, Officer Chappelle, I know who the dude is. And it's like, I could have escalated that, but then that puts all of us at risk.
True.
Because at that point, it's our word against your word. So whatever you decide to say I'm doing at that point, you can just go ahead and say. But if I'm not giving you a reason to escalate it with me, for what?
So it's based on your own experiences of how you deal with the cops. Like PJ said, he's never really had a bad experience, and other folks have. So I think that
I had a shitload of bad experiences with cops.
So basically, the answer. Go ahead, my fault.
Nah, I don't argue with them. I'm not going back and forth. I'm not doing the whole like my rights or this and that. I'm not letting you do it. Like certain shit. Can I search your car? No, you can't do that. Like you can get a sergeant to come down, but I'm not just gonna let you go in my car. And it's in a respectful way. Like respectfully, no, I'm not gonna let you do that.
That's
so
what I'm getting. To answer the question,
I'll take my keys off the car. I'll put them on the roof of the car.
Mhm.
I'm not going nowhere. You can call your sergeant. I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna let you come in my car.
But PJ, when you ask the question, what role do civilians play?
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you asking a civilian to do when you state, you know what I mean, like about these circumstances? Like, what are you really looking for a civilian to do when these things take place?
Stay calm for one. You know what I mean? Find out why the cop is approaching you.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever you feel, whatever history you have, has nothing to do with the situation right now. You can have those thoughts in your mind, but until something actually happens, it could be a completely different situation. And what you say could escalate that situation. So I feel like just the same way, you know, Eddie was talking about, you know, I get pulled over, I'm thinking, put my hands on the steering wheel. Shad saying I have my stuff up here to where, you know, I don't have to reach in a glove box. One thing I feel like people do way too much is turn into a lawyer. You don't know the law that well. Just because you watched a couple cop movies don't mean you know exactly all of your rights unless you actually studied it. So don't start talking about, oh, I know my rights, I know this, I know that. No, you don't. And
I mean,
and
I think you underestimate
certain things. You know certain things. People know certain things, but
right.
don't turn it into I know the law, because you don't.
No,
unless
but
you
I think that
studied it, you don't know it.
But I don't think that's hard to say, because you know people do different aspects of life. But I also think some cops in certain instances don't think that you know, so you can make them stand back by knowing something and ushering some information that you're aware of, because that's how we have some of the things that we have with the pipeline of kids now. But we're going to skip over that. But you know, like to act as if you don't know something, if you address it, that can escalate them because they can get frustrated because they didn't expect you to know that.
All right. Yeah. So if it's relevant to the situation and it's something that you know for a fact is illegal for them to do, all right, bring it up. But don't just sit there and start spewing out, I know this, I know that, I know this. Shut up. Figure out what it is that they're pulling you over for.
But I gotta pause you on that. I feel what you're saying halfway, because if it's say it is some shit that you actually do know, and this cop is trying to just throw one over your head, is it wrong for you to defend yourself in that moment?
That's what I'm saying. If it's relevant,
exactly,
if it's relevant to the situation, and you know that they're trying to wrong you, go ahead, say what you need to say. You know what I mean?
But
the problem is, though, hold on. Let me add to that. The only problem with that is, though, so like even if it was me that and I'm in a certain situation where I know whatever it is about the law that this cop is trying to spew to me, right? The only problem with it is I'm still going to be a little bit nervous trying to, because now, this nigga thinks he's smarter than me type situation. Because what if he goes that route?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. You know your law. He knows whatever he thinks he knows, whatever, what have you. Cool. Give me my ticket. I'll see you in court.
True.
Right. Like, true. I'm not doing this shit on the side of the road with you because I might die.
That's real. That's real.
Give me my ticket. Give me my ticket. I'll see you in court. Because, for instance, I was in Harrisburg and laws changed from Paxton County to Susquehanna County to Paxton County. So something that I could have done in Susquehanna County, you probably can't do the same way in Paxton County and be okay with it. And then little shit like where you can turn off of, say you're at like on a one-way, turning onto a one-way, going left. I didn't know you can turn on a red light. In some areas you can do that. Some areas you absolutely cannot. Like you can do it in Harrisburg, you can't do it in Philly.
I don't think the law necessarily changes, because I think it's certain in certain areas,
penal codes,
townships, people kind of like enforce certain things more. Like in Harrisburg, I could have dark ass tent and they may not fuck with me, but Susquehanna Township, they're gonna fuck with me because of my dark ass tent. You know what I mean?
Check this
And
out.
that's what I'm saying. You might your tent might still be against the law. You still might be breaking the law with the tent.
Yeah,
It's just that's not something. It's probably just not something that they're worried about.
Right.
But if you're in an area that doesn't have that much traffic, we don't like tent.
Right. I feel you.
So my thing, PJ, is that same night, different jurisdiction, an incident takes place. We was witnesses to it. Steve was there. Eddie was there. Cop says to me some fly shit to try to get some information from us. I hit him with, yo, you don't need that information because we're from this blank XYZ. I'm not gonna go on here, but y'all were there, so y'all know I told that cop. He was like, what? Oh, you're right. Well, it may differ from. I said, no, not in this area. And the cop fell back, PJ. So the point is that we as civilians should play our part, but as black people too, we got to know our rights and know what the fuck we're supposed to say when we're supposed to say it.
Okay,
because that's what protects. Because in certain instances, like these cases that have been going on, where they'll sit there and they'll write the paperwork and say you said something utterly different. So you got to make it, you know what I mean? You got to make a point to say that, I said this. And
but their paperwork going to be what their paperwork going to be regardless.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
So that's not going to change. That's not going to change depending on what you say to them.
Exactly. But if you have people there that can verify what you said, even though we've seen it in the past still go wrong, but if you said these things and make sure that you know and it's valid and they even had to address it, then you know it could be different. That's all I gotta say on that.
Bugs, what's in your playbook, man? When you're dealing with police.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit. I'm gonna spend like 2 minutes on this subject.
No doubt.
You got to realize some are in the wrong profession to begin with.
Correct.
Now, when we went and we said, does Black Lives Matter put officers on pins and needles? Some officers have always been on pins and needles just by being an officer, not knowing what they were going to face that day. And it's also the mindset of some officers, which bothers me the most because I've dealt with officers of this nature, because the security job I had worked hand in hand with the campus police department. The mentality is, and I hate to say it like this, but it is what it is. I'm a target to some officers just by being me. It's what it's going to be. It's what it is. Why? Because I'm a big black man and I'm a threat in some officers' eyes just by being a big black man. It's not going to change. It is what it is. Now, we would love to say that all this can be brought down and everyone can exist in perfect harmony. But is that the true case? No. Because at the same time, while I'm thinking why this cop pulled me over and he come into my car, I'm looking at how he's acting. Does he have his hand on his gun already? Is he even looking around my car or acting suspect? What is his behavior? I know my role. I'm going to play off of him, which is what I always do. If you come to me cool, calm, and collected, I'm going to give you cool, calm, and collected. If your hand is on your gun, I'm going to put my hands on the steering wheel and be like, is there a reason that you have your hands on your gun? Why? Because that's my right. Now, as far as de-escalation and escalation, true. Sometimes the civilians, we do get out of play. We do get out of our role. But at the same time, on the other hand, when you flip that pillow, officers are known to do the same thing. But you know what the difference is? They took an oath to serve and protect. I didn't. Whether you like me, whether you're for me, whether you're in my corner, you took an oath to serve and protect me. So don't treat me like I'm a suspect until I'm a suspect. Don't treat me any other way than what you would treat any other law-abiding citizen, which is the expectancy. That's the expectancy. But as we see, that's not what we get. I think it's bad cops, it's bad civilians, and a lot of these incidents happen from either one factor or the other. If you have two civilized people, you get a civilized result. If you have an aggressive officer with a civilized citizen, eventually the one or two things going to happen. That citizen is going to humble himself or he's going to escalate to the officer's standpoint and it's going to blast off. But either way, both sides have been found to be faultful. It's just different situations. I've had both situations. I've had to be on the ground with my hands behind my back, laying face down on the ground. And I got friends that can tell you from right there in Harrisburg. Why? Because we were walking at night. It was 9:45, and we were just out walking. Walking. Now I could have said, no, I'm not getting on the ground. I could have said, no, what did I do? I could have said all this. But you know what? I did all this, that, and the third. And what ended up happening, he pulled a mouthpiece out of my pocket. I had my tuba mouthpiece in my pocket. I'll never forget it. He said, what is this? He could have thought it was a weapon because he reached for his weapon. Well, put his hand on his weapon when he felt it. It was my mouthpiece. And then he said, what is this? I said, it's a mouthpiece. I said, I'm in the band. He said, you play an instrument? I said, I play 2-3 different instruments, sir. He said, okay. And then the ones I was with played football. He said, y'all play for where? Harrisburg High. Needless to say where we was out Pembroke. We played for Harrisburg High. But you see what I'm saying? I was in the Boy Scouts out there. We walking, doing nothing.
Using the Boy Scouts.
That's neither
in
here
high
nor
school,
there.
nigga. Use the Boy Scouts in high school.
Yeah, I was a director.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
I couldn't
sir.
let that one slide.
No, you could. Yeah,
I
trained up and coming scouts. I was a den master. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what's the
okay.
ROTC.
Once you hit Eagle, you know you can
Come on,
on the other
guys, don't
side.
do that.
But that's neither here nor there.
Don't do that.
But like I'm saying, the subject is we made it home. Everything was good because we obliged. Did I let his mindset affect me? No. It's all in how we interact with each other. And that's what I believe.
So,
And I
so
think-
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? So they
Most
say a lot of times. Let me hit you with a statement first. So they say a lot of times that cops do certain things because they're having a bad day, right? So it's okay. I'm having a bad day. So when I deal with a citizen rather that becomes, what is what I want to say? Just unruly or whatever. And I roughed them up a little bit because I was having a bad day. Why is it that the citizen couldn't have just been having a bad day and you call? Because we're all human, right? Like we all have bad days. We all get agitated. Cops get agitated. Us regular civilians get agitated.
Just people, yeah.
Right.
The problem, I think part of the problem is, and I'm gonna get to the question. I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of going to the left.
No,
I think
it's going that direction.
You're good. You're good.
I think part of the problem is like it's like some cops, it's all about abusing their power, yo. Think about that, right? If I come across, let's be real, me, Eddie, a cop, right? I'm a cop. I'm not gonna lie to you. Walk with my chest out, because who do I got to answer to? Who's checking for me? I can turn on my lights and go through a light for no fucking reason at all. I can roll up on you and question you and tell you that you look suspicious. And if you don't know the law and know that I'm really harassing you and I'm just being a dick, you're just gonna go with it. I know that I'm pumping fear your way. It's a power trip, right? So anyway, back to my question. My bad. Back to my question.
Yeah, you would definitely be the asshole cop.
Oh yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I would be.
Absolutely.
I would. I'll be a total dick.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I guess I actually already asked my question in the midst of, to be honest with y'all.
But you know,
are we allowed to have bad days? Like, why is it that it's okay for a cop to have a bad day and do something ridiculous, but we can't have a bad day and kind of go way to the left as us, and we're all human.
But that goes back to what I stated though. It's the expectancy. You can have a bad day, but how are you interacting with this police officer? Just like how is this police officer interacting with you? Because let's be clear.
I'm excited to put my hands on the steering wheel and make you comfortable. Let you know that I'm not a threat. This is why I'm a big ass black dude too. And a lot of times when I've gotten pulled out of the car because I've had the car searched, let's be real. Maybe I was token or something and didn't quite get the smell out. So they want to search it. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you search it because it ain't nothing in there no more. I done tossed that out a long time ago. But all I'm saying is when I get out the car, it's like, oh shit, like now clutching my gun. Like, nigga, I'm just getting out the fucking car. I'm not reaching. I'm struggling to get out of this little ass car that I'm in at the time. You know what I'm saying?
From a cop standpoint, they don't know that you're struggling with your seatbelt.
Nope. I'm a big ass dude. How do you not see that?
That's cool. But
you pulled me out of Ford Escort and you didn't expect me to struggle?
Fam, let's be real. Let's be real.
Go ahead, guys.
Most, I'm not gonna say us. Most people that we know who have handguns, that's where it's at.
Okay, right.
It's there. So it's like when you go there,
witness.
That's what I'm saying. When you go there, the expectation that something may be there is already in a police officer's mind. So it's like I'm gonna put my hand there I mean, I got to pull it out, but until you get out of the car, I don't know what you're reaching to do. Because I have numerous people that I know who drive with the strap right there.
See, that's why I would put. Go ahead, you right. Go ahead.
Since we're on that topic of reaching, we all know the story of the cop, or this happened on multiple occasions where a cop is where they think they're reaching for their gun, or they have their hand on their gun. I mean, on their taser, and they actually have their hand on the gun.
Yeah.
And then they pull it out and they shoot.
Yeah.
I'm never buying that story.
Listen,
are cops allowed to make mistakes?
No, not
Okay,
Are they allowed?
hold on.
They're-
You're not allowed to make that mistake. You're trained to not make that mistake, because that mistake is the difference between life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing where your taser and your gun is. Like, yeah, I get it. The human factor is we're allowed to make mistakes because we're human, but you are trained to not make that mistake. That mistake is going to take somebody's
That's the mistake
special
that shouldn't
person from them. You know what I'm saying? Their dad or their sister or their whoever. So no, the answer to that is no.
But
You're
you know,
not allowed
to
make that mistake, man.
dissolve that whole issue right there, it baffles me how this is even a subject of interest, because your taser is always kept 95.6% of the time on the opposite hip of your gun.
Across your body.
There
It's never
is
on the side where your
no
gun's at.
way. They're never on the same side. So there's no way you should be allowed to get away with the excuse, I thought I was reaching for my gun, especially if you're right-handed and your gun is on your right side. Your taser would be on your left. If you're left-handed, your taser would be on your right. There's no way. I don't care how much heat, how much pressure. If you've been trained,
so let me pause you. Let me pause you real quick, because I can see a panicky person doing some stupid shit like that. No, hear me. I'm not trying to defend it, but this is a person that shouldn't be a cop for this exact reason. But I can see a panicky person approaching a certain situation that they're not even thinking now. They just reach for something. Give me a weapon, and I'm gonna shoot it off.
Let me say this real quick. So mistakes and false narratives. So with a cop, is a cop allowed to make a mistake? Yeah, because they're human. Humans make a mistake. And in their field, there's judgment calls. Now, in the field, in the case with Dante Wright, with the taser and the gun, no, that's not allowable, because it was a pullover. There was no threat of anything. Now, the unpopular. Hold up. Let me go there real quick. Let me go somewhere real quick. So when we go to Ohio. And I know this is unpopular, especially amongst our people. He could have tased her. I get it. But she was also getting ready to straight attack somebody with a knife.
Right.
So in that judgment call, because this is the thing, shooting her dead, shooting her in her leg. Now, this is the thing. If he would have shot her in her leg and she's paralyzed.
No, they don't. They're not trained to do that.
Yeah, there's no such thing as shooting to harm.
Right.
There's no legs on there's no legs on the target range.
But But what I'm saying is that that situation, you can see a little bit more of the gray area because of the circumstances completely around everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She was attacking people with a weapon, and I get it. You know what I mean? Like you said, he could have tased her, but she was also right. But she's fully getting ready to go stab somebody up and take somebody else's life while he's there. So there's a justifiable gray area where you can say that ain't necessarily a mistake. And then all the information,
that was a split-second decision.
Right. But also, even with the narratives and how the information was coming out was falsified originally. But in the case of the Dante Wright thing with the taser and the gun, there's no excuse for that. But in his situation, I think you can actually see there's a reason for it.
So in Dante Wright's situation, her having her gun instead of a taser, there's no excuse for that. She's 26 years on the force. She should have known the difference between her taser and her gun. And the gun's in front of you, so you see it. So you should have saw that wasn't a taser.
And you said taser several times.
Right. You should have known that wasn't a taser.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, his actions caused that.
No, it didn't.
It did, dude. He tried to fucking dive back in the car. Like, that's not smart.
Yeah,
but shoot. Come on, man. Like,
not to shoot. I'm saying his actions caused that to escalate.
Stop.
So you're saying cops have you out and you trying to rush and jump back in your car doesn't escalate the situation.
It does,
does.
and that goes along with the role that civilians should play, right?
I'm
He
saying
was
that
already, he was
wasn't-
already being
he
detained.
wasn't right for that.
However, he was getting in the car to drive away. So if you're going to tase someone while they're driving away, I feel like you're going to cause more harm.
Just as
it's
well as you
not-
shoot
Let
somebody
him
that's
go.
go drive
Let him
away.
go.
It's
Catch up
not
with him
smart,
later.
period.
You already know who he is. Let him go and find him later.
That's real.
So was
Because
it
he
the cop at
basically
fault?
tried. He died.
The cop is at fault. The cop is at fault for shooting him.
But
Absolutely, yes. The cop is at fault for shooting him. Him diving back in the car escalated that situation and caused it to go where it went.
While he was fleeing, was he a threat? Was he using his car as a weapon? Was he wanted for shooting somebody down the street?
Right.
No, he's
So then-
not.
Exactly.
So then there's no
But-
reason to call.
But okay, so
isn't.
if you're trying to arrest somebody and they jump back in their car, you're supposed to just step back and go, "Oh, let him go. It's okay. We'll
No.
catch him
hey,
later.
no, hey,
To a certain
Shad, it
extent.
has happened. Shad, it has happened. It has happened.
Just let him go."
No, yeah, I've
Depending
seen. I've
on why you
literally
pulled
seen
him over.
videos of cops like
We're all holding you.
Like, listen to
The
me.
six of us.
A guy
Six of
getting
us.
arrested. Maybe the dude probably even had a weapon. You know what I'm saying? He probably even had a weapon. And dude got back in his car and drove off. And the cop gets back in his car and just calls for backup. Yeah, I'm following him down whatever street, whatever. Like that has literally happened.
So I think we see this with a skew perception, because in no way should he have tried to dive back in his car and drive off.
He definitely.
No,
shouldn't.
you're right. I
He's
agree with
definitely
you
wrong for
on
that.
that.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So when you do that,
Yo,
it
Shad.
escalates the situation. Put your
Shad.
handcuffs on, take me.
Shot. People comply and they're still getting killed. So
And
to
I
sit here
understand
act as
that,
if-
but to not comply and get killed is different than complying and getting killed.
Yo,
Right,
listen,
but
So,
if you get killed while not complying, but you're not causing harm or a threat to someone, that's a different story as well.
right.
That is a very different story.
That was.
But
his
he's
story.
not complying.
Yeah, but he wasn't
But-
causing anybody harm.
But you don't know what he's diving back in the car for. That's what I'm saying. It's like when you do dumb shit, it causes people to react. That was a dumbass move.
It
And when I
was.
saw him do
It
it, I was
definitely
like,
was.
that was fucking stupid.
Check
It
this out.
definitely was, but you know he
Now-
was trying to drive off.
But
this out.
why?
Even in the Rayshard Brooks case, right? Down there where you're at in Atlanta. Now, he roughed up the cop, took his taser, all that shit.
Mhm.
Then he started running.
Mhm.
You still don't gotta gun him down in the back because he started
He
running.
shouldn't have got shot. Absolutely
shouldn't-
not.
Right. So
He
how's
shouldn't
it-
have got shot. But he also shouldn't have tried to fight the cop.
What? Dude,
Did you not-
I've seen videos of
But I understand. I understand.
roughing
I
them up.
understand that. We're not Caucasian. We can't do that.
Yo,
So we
Shot.
don't have that leeway to try to fight back with cops.
Yeah, that's real, man.
If you're looking for a reason, you're looking for a reason. Why would I give you one?
True.
Shot. But there's
So-
so many instances where they have it. They comply.
there are.
Like you said, and that's the problem, and that's the tension. But at some point, when you keep getting bullied in any situation, and you know what I mean, like people react, and that's what
But
some
he
of these
wasn't-
cases are.
Rayshard Brooks wasn't getting bullied.
Yo, he was sleep drunk. He didn't want to
He
be
was sleep
bothered.
drunk. He got out of the car. He had a full conversation with the cop.
They got him out
Full
the car.
conversation.
They got him out the car.
And he had a full conversation. The cop said, "All right, buddy, we're just going to take you in because you were drinking and driving." At that point, the cop said, "Okay, put your hand behind your back." You start fighting both of them.
Yeah, he want to go to jail. He just got out.
I get that. You don't want to go to jail, but now you don't got a life. So what's worse?
Yo,
Take me to jail for a DUI instead of killing me.
check. Yo, people get killed for less.
They
Our
do.
people. So
Absolutely.
there's always a sitting there trying to act like the reason that we don't necessarily sometimes comply is because I'll take my odds of trying to get away and do something or say something than just the fucking fact of just being susceptible to just getting yoked the fuck up and coming back swinging like Trey when you get home. That's what you did every time you got rolled by them cops. You rolled home, you swung like Trey and Boys in the Hood and shit.
Yo,
You was crying and
but-
shit. It was on
It was
that
more
shit.
like "Don't be
You
a
know what I
menace"
mean?
when he was
Yo.
hitting the kids.
You know what I'm saying? Like that shit
Here's
gets
the thing.
frustrating. But truly that's what it embodies. Like, you know what I mean? The frustration comes out like that.
It does, but I always go home. I've never been shot by a cop. I've never been beat up by a cop. I've never had somebody pull me out the car and throw me on the ground. Like, I'm not going to give you the reason. So if
But
I
see,
need to be the one de-escalating my situations, I de-escalate them. All I got to do is make it home. After that, we can go to court. I can file lawsuits. I can go to internal affairs. I can get your job. I'll get the information I need. But for me to try to fight you in the middle of a street, that's not going to end well for me.
So for all those reports that you filed, what happened with any of the cases?
Two of them got fired. Two of them got fired. One got like some kind of reprimand and like desk duty or something.
Were they both? What were the races of the cops that got fired?
It was a black cop and a white cop.
Yeah, I figured the black cop would get fired. Like, you know.
Nah, but he had the reason he got fired because he had multiple incidents of doing shit like that, and like his file was heavy. Nah, it wasn't. It's not even being expendable. Like, he was a black cop fucking with black people around Temple repeatedly. Like, everybody that went to that school knew that dude's name. So there was like multiple files open on him. He was a bad fucking cop. He needed to get fired.
The thing is, police brutality isn't always just about race. It's about power.
There we go.
That's what I'm saying. I've had more bad black cop situations than I have white cop situations. White cops, I got pulled over in North Carolina doing 120 in a work zone. The cop laughed and was like, "Yo, just give me your license." I gave him a license. He was like, "Get out the car." He's like, "You get in the passenger seat. You get in the driver's seat." Talking to Vaughn, he was like, "You're not getting your license back." He was like, "Just call the court. It's going to be suspended. Your fine is going to be like $1,000." It was like $1,200. It's just, it's not necessary. Like, a lot of the white cops I deal with are cool. It's the black cops that I typically have problems with because, quote unquote, you think you know me. You think you know what I'm about. You think you know what I'm doing.
But I think that goes back to your own personal experience also, because not everybody has that same experiences with black versus white cops. Because the black cops that I've gotten pulled over by, and it's really just one, he actually always looked out for me. Shit, I remember when I was a dumb young boy, I heard drinking and driving on some stupid shit in my early 20s. I'm just being real. I don't give a shit. I'm being real. Swerving my way back to Pennswoods, and the officer, and y'all know who he is, but I ain't gonna put his name out there. He's not a cop no more, but he was out Lower Paxton, so I'm just say that. But nigga pulled me over. Eddie, what the fuck you doing, dog? And it was him. And what he do? I'm gonna follow your ass back to the crib to make sure you get there. But don't ever do this dumb shit again. I mean, it's the same cop.
And that's different because that's somebody who's invested in the community, who knows the people in the community. So it's different how you interact with them. Cops now, they don't live in the neighborhoods they police. So you don't know them. So, like, if you're in Harrisburg, pretty much the cops know your parents. They went to school together. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's different.
PJ.
But to switch that real quick, right? Because I know we're coming up on time and shit, right? Just to take that a step a little bit further, or a little bit to the left. Let me say this. I think that you got a point there when you say the cops don't know the people in the neighborhood. That is number one. That is a big problem because that can cause a sense of they can become uncomfortable with people they don't know. Just like we get in front of certain people and might be uncomfortable of people of other color that we don't know. Like, you know what I mean? But I think that also too, it does, going back to that power thing. Like, I mean, that's really what it is, man. Like, to control. Like, but you got this one color in one particular neighborhood, right? And then you tell this other color to go police that neighborhood. What do you think is really going to happen, right? Especially if this person has never lived in this neighborhood, doesn't know anybody, and so he's already, before he even goes into that neighborhood, thinking negatively. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just thinking negatively. Like, so it doesn't matter what you do. I could say, like Cuz said, you just pulled me over because you're black, and maybe even if he may not react how the cop that pulled Bubba over me, he might react like on some extracurricular shit. Well, I'm gonna just do some grimy shit to you. I don't know. He could be like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Go ahead. Come back to me.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say Bub's situation, for instance. Bub's like, you pulled me, you know why I pulled you over? Because you're racially profiling me. I'm not fucking racially profiling. My wife is black, dumbass. It's like, so now it's like, now if the situation escalates, now Bub, we know Bub, he's not about to back down. It's about to go back and forth. So now it's like there's about to be a back and forth argument until somebody backs down.
Well, you can't hit me with the line that I got the black friend neither. Because you know what I mean. Like my wife
See?
is black. Is the
See?
I got the black line. But we're like, I mean,
He gonna go back and forth regardless.
It's going back and forth. Bub about to go.
Yo, I'm a rarity. Like, you know what I mean? Like I talk, like y'all all been with me. Like I talk back and like, you know what I mean? And like, because I feel like you know what I mean? Like if I know that I'm not wrong, I want you to really give me some liable reasons why you thought that, you know what I mean? Like this needed to be addressed. Like when I'm wrong, I take the ticket and shut up. But when there's, you know what I mean, a situation where I can question it, I'm gonna question it. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
As
Why you pull me over?
but
Because your black ass is out here on Darius Street at 3:00 in the morning, and I don't trust you.
check this
That's
out.
why I pulled you over. And it's like
Nah.
that's what it is. You're black at 3:00 in the morning on Darius Street going towards Union Deposit.
Yo.
Like, yeah, hands down, that road alone, we all know. Like that's the road to get pulled over on. So your parents tell you when you start driving, when you go on this street, slow the hell down.
Yo, I want to chime in and say a couple comments. 943 Don, Pats fan McGrew said these cops barely know the law.
True.
Which is true. Some cops do. And we also had a 1009 Victor Lane made a good point by saying police need to be more involved in the community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that adds to the moving forward thing, right? And let me just say this, just to get my little situation out the way, so y'all could finish it off. Just moving forward, right? I think that the one thing that makes a lot of situations escalate from the cop aspect is, why do you send a gun and a badge to a situation that doesn't cause for a gun and a badge? A lot of times it could be a mental health thing, and that person who's going having some type of episode could die because the cop doesn't fully understand the scenario at hand. So moving forward, maybe you shouldn't send cops to situations like that. Form some other type of situation where you send somebody that has experience, like a therapist or somebody. And I know that sounds stupid, but just send somebody.
It's actually very intelligent. But the problem is most cities don't have resources to have those people on hand.
So
it's like,
so when you say defund the police, right? Put them funds somewhere else into some shit like that.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Why would you send a cop to a person that's going to jump off a bridge? I'm depressed. I'm gonna kill myself. So I'm gonna send a gun and a badge.
Yeah,
usually
I absolutely agree.
Well, they usually send them to like incidences like that one that happened in Lancaster where the family said like the person wasn't taking their medicine. So then they act out, and it's a thing. But then also you send a cop under the pretense that they're there to protect. So if a person's not on their medicine and they're going to harm other people, you're going to send somebody there who can lawfully protect the people.
But because if their mental's off, they can't control it. They're going to
hopefully
right. But at that point, if there's somebody there with a weapon, they're sending somebody out there with a weapon. That's just the premise. And I don't agree with none of that, but that's what I'm saying that they're doing. You know what I mean? But I know we got to move on because we're getting
pressed for time.
But I think that's the thing. It's the moving forward part is just being responsible when it comes to the police department needs to be more responsible. So it's like the information from dispatch to car needs to be better. Like the information when someone calls the police needs to be better. The interactions with people needs to be outside of you just policing the area. So I feel like you should have to live in the community that you're policing. You should be involved in the community that you're policing. Part of your 40-hour work week, something in there should be something with community service. Because if you know the people in the neighborhood, you don't jump to conclusions. It's like, that's such and such. He lives down there. He's not a bad kid. Like, let me just jump out and find out what's going on.
And the community will respect you more.
That's what I'm saying. It's different than when you say you live in like Philadelphia, for instance. All the cops live in the little area called Manayunk. So Manayunk is like police central. All the rest of Philadelphia is where you're policing. So you don't know the people in West Philly because you don't live over there. So when you go over there to jump in a situation, everyone's a stranger. Everyone's a threat. And the people that you're coming after aren't threats. So it can be an argument that we could be having this conversation on the porch. The cop pull up and be like, yo, what's the problem? Because it's 6 of us sitting on the porch in a heightened conversation. You know what I'm saying?
The real way to move forward with this is to take away their immunity, defund them. Because of any job, when you really have consequences for not doing your job right, you oppress more to do your job correctly. So in these situations where they know that more than likely, I'm going to sit, come back to work, you know what I mean, and do that for these circumstances, you're cool. Or you can just retire and get your pension and go get another job somewhere. That's what it is, man. Like, that's how you
Absolutely.
move forward. So you got to make sure that they're more accountable, and you got to take the steps to make sure that they're held more accountable.
But
Because
the problem
it's dumb.
the problem with that is, yeah, that blanket immunity, that should be gone. Like, if you do something, you should be responsible. You shouldn't be allowed to just jump back in your job. I feel like if you do something with a situation where it's like an unarmed shooting or whatever, you should never be allowed to be a cop anywhere. You shouldn't be able to be a mall cop. Can't even be a crossing guard. You should never be able to hold a badge, period. Like, if that's your situation, you shouldn't be able to jump from station to station and be a cop somewhere else. Agreed. Defunding the police, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to change the police mentality. All that's going to do is recreate that frustration and put it somewhere else. So it's like you need to get that involvement with the community, with police departments, to where you're now working together. So a community board, for instance. So if something happens, the community board now comes and they're like, okay, these are the situations, this is what's going on, and become like a mediator or some kind of person in between the two. Like, it's just, there has to be more involvement on both sides and more honesty and transparency from the police department side going to the community. But in the same breath, we got to do our part too.
But cops also got to hold other counts accountable, just to add to that. Because
but we don't know what cops are holding other cops accountable. I know cops that, like, friend cops
we
of
shouldn't
mine
have to know.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't
But I
have
know,
to know. Like, you know,
if
this cop, if you're a good cop and you know that this cop is doing foul shit. Oh, there goes the car at a stop sign, car full of black dudes. He's probably going to pull him over. You know, if your partner's that type of
right.
dude. You know
But in the
saying?
same breath, but it's you have to go through a process being a police officer to get a police officer fired. Like, if the union got them, it don't matter what you're saying about what they're doing.
Mhm.
So there's cops who snitch on other cops all the time. There's cops that get into fights with other cops in police stations all the time. Like, they know the racist ones that are there. But if the police union is protecting you, there ain't too much that they can do. All that's left is what? Quit?
And then, in all honesty, if you have
maybe you need somebody to police the police, then.
But see, this is
Exactly.
the
That's
thing.
really going
If
to
you don't know how many people actually have been reprimanded because they wouldn't do it in front of you. Now, I may not agree with you, but I'm not going to correct you in public. But when we get back
Correct.
to the precinct, I'm going to let you have it because you were dead wrong. And I'm also going to put in a report. So sometimes I'm not justifying it or advocating for it, but what I'm saying is sometimes it's what you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you didn't see me, you know, chastise my partner or my coworker in front of you, don't mean he didn't get it when we went back to the precinct and I wrote up my paperwork exactly the way things happened.
And that's the thing. The cop that got fired in Philadelphia, the other two cops that was there, they're the ones that actually, like, put in their report what happened. So it helped, like, my situation with getting them out the force. So it's
The black cop.
the black and the white cop. Like, the two, it was a car team, like a car partner thing. Like, the two of them were, like, fucking harassing people repeatedly. And the other two cops that were there, like, vouched for me and was like, that's what happened. Like,
So,
what he's saying happened is what happened.
as civilians, what part are we supposed to do if we're having problems with the people that's supposed to help correct our situation?
Report their ass.
Report.
We've had
It.
like
You have,
like,
but you have to you continue doing the shit. Like,
report,
we have
report and then follow up. I'm saying it's going to be multiple situations. It's not going to just stop because we have a black summer. Like, that's not going to cut it. But you have to continue being on task for it. And then it goes back to, like, who you put in offices that bring your police chiefs in. Like, these fuckers down here right now, they do whatever they want to do because they just changed the police chief. So you got to hold people accountable, and it starts higher up than just the cop that pulled you over. It's higher than him. That brass rank is the bitch.
the blanket of blue is deep, man. And like I said, when you got it, like, when you have immunity, that eliminates accountability. Like, we know that, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So to act as if you have to, there's so much, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we out of time, but there's so much more to that. But go ahead. Anybody's got anything to say for cause?
Yeah, I think moving forward, one thing that we have to do is educate ourselves as well. You know what I mean? And if we're going to spew the law at the cops, we need to know the law. You know what I mean? And that needs to start from when we're young. You know what I mean? We need to start teaching our kids in schools, we need to teach them how to deal with police officers when you're accosted by a police officer, what to say, what laws you should have to know to be able. That should maybe even be something that you learn when you're taking your driver's test, you know what I mean, or your permit test before you can even get a license. Certain things that you need to know, you know what I mean. But we have to get past all of it being put on the police officers. We play a role as well, and I'm not saying we play a role in being brutalized, but we can play a role in things escalating, and they don't necessarily have to be that way. You have a better chance. Your odds are better when you're not escalating the situation of making it home alive.
That's victim shaming.
It's not victim shaming.
It is victim shaming.
It's not.
It's
It's not, because
victim
I didn't say anything about a victim. I'm saying you have a better chance of making it home if you don't escalate.
If you don't say nothing. If you don't say nothing.
It's not,
if
but
you
it's not
don't
even not saying
escalate the
nothing. It's
situation.
just your job at the end of the day is to get home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything
but you-
else can be
but
dealt
you
with
shouldn't-
after that.
But
You
shouldn't
can't
feel-
automatically
Listen,
call.
check this out. But
You
check
can't
this out,
consider
though.
yourself a victim just because you got pulled over.
Nah, but if you also got pulled over for an unjustifiable reason that you know is something that they can't say because we both know what it's hitting for, is to actually act as if, you know what I mean, that's victim shame. Like you're trying to omit the fucking obvious
victim
fact.
shaming.
Listen,
That's
man.
not victim shaming.
It is.
Nah, but it's- Because
It
it's
does.
the racist aspect of policing is always going to be there.
Exactly.
It's like the implementation of police was catching slaves. It's always going to have a racial
Yes.
undertone.
Yes,
Like
that was
so that's always going to be the roots of policing. But it's like, to deal with it, we have to like get in the mindset and the mentality of just get home. Deal with all the other shit after you make it home. But us arguing and fighting and shit and like going back and forth with cops is getting us killed.
Your odds are better.
We comply.
some cops become cops.
We
before
comply. We get
Yeah.
killed. Like y'all keep forgetting.
Not,
like this is
no, we not
Nope, I
forgetting
said your
that. Like
odds are
that
better.
that happens. Like there are people who comply and still get killed. Philandro
Exactly.
Castile.
A
Philandro
lot-
Castile
right.
was
Right.
he right. But that's
Right.
and that's on the cop. So again, it goes back to the situation where you say, I did nothing wrong. And like that case,
And
they're
you're still
going back and
he's
forth
still
about it.
gone.
And he's
So-
still gone. Correct. But and you get into a different situation with someone who is doing something wrong, and then you get shot, and it's like, oh, he didn't do anything. Yes, the fuck he did. So you can't say everyone's not doing something. Some people are doing things that escalate situations. So just don't escalate the shit. Get home and then escalate it.
Yeah, but regardless,
Every situation doesn't turn into police brutality. Every situation doesn't end in somebody.
Just like y'all say,
getting
you
shot.
don't know how many people are holding cops accountable. We don't have every fucking police brutality thing. And like you said, and it's just a recent wave right now of putting the information out there. There's been so many incidences, like you said beforehand, that's a whole nother direction. But to act as if comply is the only way that you can possibly get, because people still comply and still get fucked up.
Right, but it increases your odds of getting home. That's all I'm saying. Is it increases your odds.
It doesn't.
How not?
Because people have complied and got killed.
Nope. Okay, so you telling me
But
if every
it's
single
fewer people that
person,
comply and get killed.
if
than
every
people
single
that go back
person
and forth and get killed.
escalated a situation, we would have way more people getting brutalized. by
Yo,
police.
the thing is this. Yo, we seen like the Anthony Brown situation down there. The reason that they're hiding that shit is because he technically really complied. And it took 10 people to serve one man in a warrant, and to the point where they're not even they're living through loopholes and different laws, federal laws, state laws, because of these type of things. But I don't want to keep going into that. But you're sitting there acting as if these people are just in circumstances where, man, you know what? Like, if you just shut the fuck up, it don't happen like that. It don't happen like that. And there's a lot of cases where it doesn't. And y'all know
But
this.
even the Anthony Brown situation, like his lawyers was saying that he was trying to jump in the car and drive away.
He was in the car.
So that,
Hold on,
but they
hold on.
said
He was
they
in the car
said
and they shot him in the back of his head. There's nothing
They shot-
justifiable about that.
No, dude, I'm not justifying it, cuz I'm saying like
So then don't. Because you're trying
it's
to
not
make it
because what you can't do is just make it seem like everything that happens is not the person that's involved escalating situations. We have
No.
our part that we play as well. So sometimes we fuck up and make the situation worse. Sometimes the cops are the ones making the situation worse. There's responsibility on both sides in different situations. Every situation is not the same. So it's like if you're trying to serve a warrant, serve your fucking warrant. But instead of me letting you serve your warrant, I'm dead.
Yo,
If you want to pull me over, pull me over. You want to put me in handcuffs? Put me in handcuffs. Instead of me letting you do that, I'm dead. There's very few people who just comply that are dead.
Yo, I get what you're saying in the sense of just in the broad scope that black people don't got it the same way white people do, because we know Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 people, walked down the street, put his hands up. Oh, they said he killed 2 people. Oh shit, you go shoot me? No, we're gonna take you in. We know Dylan Roof went in the church, killed the people. Yo, you hungry? Let's go to Burger King. Like, come on, man. Like, we get it. But you're still acting as if, like Eddie said earlier, that people aren't people. They have a bad day and you just get tired and you have a fucking emotional moment where you say something where it's like, yo, fuck with him trying to comply or fuck with him just saying something. They just take it to the furthest extent and take somebody out. Come on, man. Like, you're acting as if people don't comply.
No, because what we're saying is like white people's bad day, they go home. Black people's bad day with cops, we don't.
Why black people's good day? Black people's good day, they don't go home with cops. George Floyd didn't do what? Did he comply?
To what?
Yo, did George Floyd comply?
That's a completely different.
No, it's not. He complied.
No,
he complied.
George Floyd.
Fellas. Go ahead, Sean. Finish it up.
George Floyd complied, and there was a situation where he didn't comply. Him being pulled back out of the car.
That's completely different because that was a completely malicious act against that the cop did.
Him being pulled back out of the car, that's completely different. Up until that point. Up until that point, there's multiple things that you could say went wrong on that side.
We're going to agree to disagree.
I was going to say we could go on about this all day.
We agree and disagree because there's still other aspects that we didn't even get a chance to hit. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to say?
I feel a part 2 coming on then.
Yes,
I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do.
For sure.
I absolutely do.
For sure.
Because there's some topics that we didn't even get to address that I would love to address concerning this matter. But
Steve, you got anything you want to say, cuz? Before
I was I was bugging off the victim shaming. I'm glad that we didn't go the route where starting to tell like women how not to get raped. So you know what I mean. I'm glad that we didn't do that. Because it ain't their fault. It's the rapist's fault.
I fucking love y'all, man. Go ahead, bro.
That's not what that y'all.
No. I agree with you, PJ. I'm saying I'm glad that we didn't go that route. Saying this is how you avoid it.
Steve got it. Bob, what you got? You got anything else?
Oh no, I'm good.
What about you, PJ?
Nah, I think we covered everything. Like I said, we need a part 2, man.
We definitely do. Eddie?
Nah, smooth for now, man.
Shot.
Definitely a part 2 because just again, make it home.
That's it. Definitely a part 2. We want to thank y'all for tuning into this live show on police brutality. As we move forward, it's a part on both sides that both sides need work. That's the 100% agreement from both sides. Both sides need to be more consistent. Both sides need to be, if not already being, compliant. But I do want to say this though: law begets law. If you find yourself in a situation you can't handle, you feel you're being done wrong, you don't necessarily have to exert your action. There's other chains. You can report to the police department, the commissioner, the chief. You can also get yourself a lawyer and proceed that way. It's other ways versus going back and forth with policemen this day and time, with seeing the facts of what happened. But as I said before, there's so many other places you could have been on a Friday night. We want to thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with the Q. And as always, y'all be safe, be happy, and most of all, be you. We out.
Good night.
Peace. Love you.